And we are live. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday night. Welcome to 161. I'm Stephen Presley. Sitting next to me virtually, Master Jedi, the one and only, back in the Thunderpop Dome virtually, Master Jedi Matt Wilkins. How are you doing, sir?
I'm excellent. I want some of this popcorn that's below me. It looks fantastic.
Little applause for you there. And
I hear that every morning
and
in my head.
and the cameraman is like moving up in the AI cameraman.
It's
By the way,
bobbing.
I've named the cameraman. His nickname is Cam.
You
Cam.
call him Cambot like MST3K.
There you go. I like that. Cambot. How you doing, Cambot? Cambot's with us too. So Cambot over there, the virtual or the AI cameraman across the way there. Also tonight on this show, we're also joined by Matt's babies.
Yeah,
The
one of them.
twins,
The
correct?
twins, the new twins, the new
The
set.
the new set twins that he was about to have. I think they were about to be birthed the last time you were on the
Yeah, that was
show.
right before they were born. I think we did one. You're right.
Yeah, and they were like, I won't be bothering you for a while because I know you're going to be very busy with the twins.
Yeah, and that little co-pilot's looking at me, so she'll be in my lap soon enough.
Yeah, so we may get another special guest very shortly here. One of the twins might pop up. Yeah, so Matt's putting them to putting them or they're put to sleep, but trying to continue to get them to. I think
Oh,
we hear. I think we hear
you
one.
heard that one. She hears that we're
Yeah.
talking about her now.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
they
Hey.
might talk. They might talk Top Gun. I don't know if they've seen. I doubt they've seen Top Gun Maverick.
You hadn't seen it yet, but I'm sure she'd love it. Sure she'd
Yeah.
love it.
Oh yeah. Tom Cruise. I mean the toddlers and infants and babies. They're love Maverick.
Yes.
Love
Yes, of
Maverick.
course.
Um,
Wonderful.
Top Gun Maverick wins this summer. That's what we're gonna be talking about on the 161 episode. And we're doing two shows this week. This will be two shows in 3 days. We'll be back on Wednesday for the season finale, where I'll be joined by another Louisianan now living here in Texas, the one and only Jazz One will be joining me, and we're going to talk some fun stuff on Wednesday. It's going to be kind of a part two of this episode. This one, we're going to talk about the summer blockbuster that won the summer. That I'm going to have. I have a little. I'm going to get on my soapbox here in a second about this, and I told Matt before we started the show, I'm going to get on my soapbox about something here in a second. I guess you
You
could
have a
call it
horn
a
to
soap.
toot.
I have a horn to toot. That's what it is. We're gonna do that. We'll have our usual tropes too. We have a thunder take. We have agree or disagree, and then we're gonna talk about this movie that won the summer. And here now is the horn to toot. Back in April, if not a little earlier, I told. And if you need to go,
I'm going to get her and come right back.
yeah, go ahead. I'll toot my horn while you're taking care of
You
the little
toot
one
your
there.
horn.
So, and Matt's gonna get some relief here in a little bit. His wife's coming in, and she's gonna scoop up the babies here. Oh, there they go. There's a little baby.
It's Miss Ella.
This is not for you. I'm not too. I'm not. I'm not. You were not one of my haters on the
That's
internet.
right.
So I had told people back as far as April, if not March, that Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick would win the summer, and not only would it win the summer, it could win the year as far as movies go, and it was going to surprise everyone and be a much bigger movie than people are expecting it to be. And everybody's like, you're crazy. That's been too many. There's been too many years since that first one came out. There was too many years between the sequels and the original. They waited too long. People don't even know who the Top Gun Maverick. They don't even know who Maverick is now. It's been
This
so long.
movie was delayed for 2 years. It's been finished for years and just gotten delayed since COVID. So yeah.
Yeah, it had all kinds of obstacles that they, by the way, they tried to put this on streaming. The powers to be at the studios wanted to go ahead and put this movie on streaming, and Tom Cruise and the clout he has in Hollywood was able to hold out for quite a while and say, hey, look, this movie's going to get a theatrical release, and he waited it out. waited it out until they were able to finally give it a proper theatrical release. And even during a time, a window when they could have and wanted, the studio could have and wanted to put it out a little earlier, would have been back around the time of like when Ghostbusters Afterlife came out, like back
Right.
in the fall, and they were putting out a few movies a little bit here and
Yep.
there, but not a lot of movies, but a few movies were getting into the theater and not doing as well as they probably would have done because of what was going on. There was still a lot of COVID and there was still a lot of concern over COVID. It really wasn't until Spider-Man No Way Home came out that the doors were really kicked back open on blockbuster business at the
It's
movie
true.
theater. So that really, and Ghostbusters, by the way, Ghostbusters Afterlife still did well enough for them to greenlight another Ghostbusters movie because
Yeah.
it's going to get a sequel. So congratulations to Ghostbusters
It's a good
fans.
movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. I enjoyed Afterlife, and I saw it in the theater, and I was really happy that I made it to the theater. Saw it a little bit after it had been out a few weeks, but I made it to go see it, and you enjoyed it as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my wife loved it better than Spider-Man. However, I did not. I love
Mm,
Spider-Man better, but I thought Ghostbusters was fun. But
yeah.
my wife told me that she loved it better than Spider-Man.
Yeah, I did. And how about how
But to just tell you the reason I like Ghostbusters, it's one of the few times that they had a movie with kids that weren't annoying. That may sound like
yeah,
old man talk, but usually the kids in these movies, one or two of them or all of them are just annoying, and
yeah,
none of them were annoying. They were fun.
yeah,
I wasn't bored. I wasn't saying, oh gosh, why are they doing these stupid things? No kid would act like that. And I mean, their movie, it's a movie, but at the same time,
mhm,
there has to be some reality that you have to feel something for these kids. And I did.
yeah,
And I thought it
yeah,
was really well balanced, a really fun,
mhm,
as people would say, popcorn film that was
mhm,
done well.
mhm.
Of and I had a lot of fun. I don't mind that the Ghostbusters were in it at the end. I don't mind that. I expected that, you
Yeah,
know.
I think because they weren't in any of the trailers. We
Yeah,
saw, I mean, we see the car in the trailers.
you knew they were going to come and that they came in at the end. That's fine because I
Yeah,
wasn't sitting there saying, "Oh, if they would have brought them in sooner, it'd have been a better movie." No, it was a great movie, and that was perfect.
yeah, yeah. It was
They
good.
were
It
in
was
just
good.
enough. Yeah.
Also, I hear a series. They're working on a series, which would be the Ghostbusters Academy.
You
Like,
know, I don't know if I said it on on your show, but I did
I think
say
you
it on
did.
someone's channel that I said if it doesn't make enough in the theaters, I said it will get a streaming show
Yeah,
because I could see Ernie Hudson and Ann Potts coming back to
yeah.
run a Ghostbusters Inc. with a new crew,
Hmm.
and you can make lots. And Dan Aykroyd could be a guest star. I mean,
Yeah.
I even I did. Was it this show? I can't
You did.
remember.
We did talk about that on here.
And I think I said that Dan
Yeah.
Aykroyd would be the villain in two. He'd get possessed and he'd become the villain in season two of the
Ooh,
Ghostbusters show.
I
How it would
like
work
it.
out. Like
I
he would
like
be
it.
possessed by the ghost. So yeah,
Hmm.
and they'd have another challenge to face. The first season would be the group get working together
Getting them
and
all
being
trained.
a team. Yeah, being a cohesive team. And
Yeah.
then the second season is Dan Aykroyd as the villain now. He was the mentor, but now he gets inhabited by the whatever ghost, and
Yeah.
now he's the villain for season two. I think this show I think that Ghostbusters streaming show would write itself. So
I like it. I like it. In her Netflix, it's in the works at Netflix. So the series and another movie,
good.
both are supposed to
Yeah,
happen.
and good for them to. In my mind, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's the only franchise to survive a reboot
Yeah.
and then go and revert back to the original storyline and now keep going strong.
Yeah.
Usually, when you get a reboot, that means the series is dead.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not being negative, but I'm just saying that when a reboot happens, that's it for your franchise.
Hmm.
Reboots usually don't have a long shelf life.
I think right now with you and what this picture here, we could start the Look Who's Talking reboot with you and your twins. We've got the
I'm
Look Who's
telling you,
Talking,
she wants to talk. You want to talk?
and you and your wife could take over the roles of Kirstie Alley, John Travolta characters, and Look Who's
That's right.
Talking
That's
with
right.
you,
Look who's talking.
the reboot.
Talking there,
Um,
Bubba.
so we're gonna get into and as fun to talk Ghostbusters. That was a joke. Did you like Ghostbusters too? There's a lot of good scenes with kids for the kids in Ghostbusters. We're gonna roll the opening, and then when we come back, we are gonna talk about the champion of the summer, which I told everyone Top Gun Maverick, and they laughed at me, was going to win the summer. And I was right. I was right. I was right. It won the summer. Not only did it win the summer, it may become the biggest, if not like one of the top couple of biggest movies of all time.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even give it that credit. I wouldn't have given it that credit. I said it was just going to win the summer.
I never would have thought that. I never would have thought it would have won the summer with all the Marvel movies and stuff like that coming out. I never would have been as bold to say that.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy it is. I'm happy that I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to talk about that and why I want to talk about why I said, and I'll toot that horn loudly. I'll stand on the pedestal or the mountain or the sky, the tall building, and I'll toot that horn. But we'll get back and we'll do that after this.
Thunder Pop. It's time for Thunder Pop. Don't make me say it again. Thunder Pop, Thunder Pop, Thunder Pop. I will not say it again. Thunder Pop. Okay, I lied. Thunder Pop, Thunder Pop, Thunder Pop, oh, Thunder Pop.
Oh, is the flying camera?
There you go. The AI cameraman, Cambot in the studio. Cam's first name, Bot's second name, last name, Cambot. All right, so back to the top of the mountain or the skyscraper or the tower that I'm standing on while I'm saying. So my reasoning was as a process of elimination. I looked at what was coming out, and we had, I guess you could count Doctor Strange, Thor, so 2 Marvel movies. If you want to count Multiverse of Madness at the end of spring, early summer, we had. Yes, I know we had Jurassic World Dominion. That was the only movie I gave a chance of beating Top Gun this summer was Jurassic World Dominion. The reason being is I thought I was starting to see the early stages of Marvel burnout. What I believe to be Marvel burnout. And No Way Home was the exception to that rule when it comes to Marvel burnout, because No Way Home was a special type of Marvel movie. But once you get past that movie and the peak that was for the MCU in terms of accomplishments, what that was, it's all downhill after that. But it's like No Way Home. And then it's like everything after that, how can it even like equal that?
Yeah, I would say it peaked at Endgame, Avengers Endgame, started to slide down. We started seeing it slide down.
Yeah.
And then it hit it bounced up the charts with Spider-Man No Way Home or Far From Home, whatever the last one was. And now it's really, and it surprised me because I knew this happened. I knew this happened someday. I didn't know when, but now you see all this stuff falling apart. Thor had a huge second drop. The movies just aren't making, and it's wild because it had to happen. It was inevitable, right?
It was inevitable because
all good things.
Well, it's just the production of how much content they've been putting out over the last several years. And now what I think really puts it over the top, and I think the quality of the content is still good, because I just went and saw Thor Love and Thunder, and really enjoyed it. Was never bored, found it to be really funny, entertaining, and was very involved in the movie. But here's the thing: when you're now in movie theaters, but not just in movie theaters, but you're also on Disney Plus with new streaming series coming out almost every couple of months. It's a whole new thing. You've got all of this content now at your disposal,
right?
And even the movies are all over the streaming app, so you can go rewatch those movies. If you have the Disney Plus, you can go back and watch the MCU movies anytime you want. So they're at your I think it's just the access of streaming, and then also all the streaming series, and then the length of time that they've been coming out. And then, like you said, Endgame, how do you top that?
Right. Where do you go from there?
It seems like it's all downhill.
And I think it has been because this with this latest announcement, I don't know what phase we're in right now,
Yeah.
but with the latest announcement of Doctor Strange 2, of whatever else, the TV shows have come out. I don't know how you felt about the last few, and I just Moon Knight out of all of them was the one I was looking forward to the most, the TV show, because I
Yeah.
liked his comic book. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I really I had high hopes for Moon Knight. I thought I was
I
really
did too.
excited for it. And then the casting that they had, the casting was of the announcements that the casting was really intriguing and exciting
Yeah,
to me because they're great actors. But I had a hard time finishing it.
I did too. It starts off interesting and then flatlines.
Yeah.
And same thing with Miss Marvel. It I was like, oh, this may be fun, and then man, that thing took a nosedive.
Well, and I have to admit, I'm not all the way through. I'm only about 3,
Okay.
maybe 4 episodes
Well,
through Miss Marvel
I'm
so
not
far.
I'm not spoiling anything by saying this.
Yeah, no, it's not.
How,
I mean,
how many,
I like Miss Marvel much more than Moon Knight, and found it so far much better.
oh, wait till you get to the later episodes and it starts to drag again.
Oh
I'm
boy.
like, why
Well,
can't they? If they only had what 8 episodes, and it feels like they should have only gone 4. They just
yeah.
feel like they have to drag out. There's some episodes that's like, what was the point of that? What was the point? They just drag these episodes out, and I'm tired. I'm so tired of the
Yeah.
trope of
Yeah.
let's again. This isn't necessarily a spoiler, but let's introduce the costume at the very end of the show. That has been done a million times now, and they need to stop it. They need to stop it. Do you know what? King Kong Skull Island was brilliant because it's one of the few times they actually showed King Kong in the opening scene. Bravo to them. They didn't save King Kong till halfway through the movie, or toward the end where you get this majestic shot. Finally, he's there after all this human dialogue and everything. No, they said, you know what? We're going to show him at the very beginning, and that was great. That was great. Don't save him up for buildup now. Let's just see him do something different. It's a movie trope to see Godzilla halfway through your film, to finally see the full Godzilla. That was cool back when Godzilla was in what was it, 1999, 97? That was cool. You saw a tail, a foot, or whatever, and you didn't see the whole thing. Okay, that's been done a billion times, and to still have the reveal the costume at the end of Titans, DC's Titans, terrible show. Teased Nightwing the entire season, and we only got to see him at the very end. It was just bogus. It was bogus. And that they do this, it's just to keep you tuned in.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's I don't know. I'm just tired of that trope, and I wish it would go away. And they should know better after so long. And the bar's been ever since Spider-Man No Way Home. The bar's been raised. You need to get your game together, or just stop. Just stop making. Don't make 8 episodes of a season if you've only got 4 episodes thought. Because Moon Knight, way too long.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm with you. I found the first 2 episodes very interesting and entertaining when they were back at the museum, and I found the interaction between him and those characters at that museum to be some of the most interesting parts of the show.
And I would have loved to follow those museum people.
Yeah, and they bail on that really quickly, and you never see those people. They drop them, and you never see them. And they were the most interesting part of the show. From that point on, it was downhill. And it got really.
Is he going to ask that girl on a date, since it's been a week since then? What about the lady at the front desk? What about his boss? What about the security guard? You introduce these people in the first episode, and we're supposed to think, okay, these are your characters. No, we're moving on to a different story. It's like the writers just couldn't think of anything to do in a museum, so they have to move them away.
Which is, I disagree. I think they could have connected that museum in a lot of ways.
Yes. And just have episodes of, if you want to have episodes of non-Moon Knight, then have him trying to piece back together his life, his work life, his love life. That's great. Yeah. Don't have him wandering around in the desert for a whole episode where nothing happens.
Yeah. It got a little too meta.
Yeah.
And too meta for its own good.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and that was a problem. And it was a shame because they had wasted and the costume was so cool. And like you said, I barely see the costume, and we saw it.
You see it a few times, and then, oh man, use your CGI sparingly. It was really bad, some of the CGI they were showing on him, because you need to, and the suit was real. The suit was real. the glowing eyes. That was great. But when they do some action scenes, hold on just a moment. We got a backup bottle. I made one.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. Matt's doing a little double duty tonight. He's
Boom.
so
Coming
kind
prepared.
to come on and be my guest tonight, or be come
Yeah.
in and co-pilot with
Well, I
me
want to
tonight.
talk about all this, but the thing
Yeah.
is though, that they didn't use the CGI was bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad
Well,
use of CGI.
1999, George Lucas thought that CGI was bad.
Yeah, well, yeah. You can abuse CGI, and they definitely did, I
Yeah.
think. But it's a TV show. You need to use your CGI sparingly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. You know, I mean, The Boys, Amazon.
Mhm.
It's a show about superheroes. They use their CGI sparingly, and they use it well.
True. Yeah. When they do use it, they don't use Ron sparingly, or,
They-
or shock value sparingly.
No, they don't. They don't. This is not a show you watch around the table with the whole family.
No.
But the thing is that there's a scene. This is in season whatever. There's a scene where Homelander is flying. Well, we imagine he's flying and he lands on a billboard. All you see is his feet slowly falling onto the billboard, and then it pans to show. All they did was probably just lowered him down. They didn't have to do any CGI. We used our imagination to say, "Oh, he just landed on that billboard. Now he's talking to whoever Stormfront, I think." But it was like that was great. You didn't use CGI. You didn't have him flying around and then soon land on the thing.
Overdoing
Use your CGI sparingly. And how they would. I mean, some of the Egyptian, wolves or whatever that was chasing him at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, do better is the thing. And
I was really bummed about that.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just
and then Marvel had the misfire with Eternals too, back in the fall, which also is another movie that way underperformed. And I know people that will go to bat for it, but I mean, it was another movie that it wasn't as challenging for me to finish Eternals as it was Moon Knight, but there were times during Eternals where I did look at my watch while I was watching Eternals.
Yeah. You start playing a little mobile game on your phone. You start checking your email. The thing is though, I do that more times than often now on Marvel shows. I didn't do that for Hawkeye. I didn't do that for Loki. I didn't do that for WandaVision.
Yeah.
But yet now I'm doing that for all these shows. And that there tells you there's a problem. There's a problem. I put down my phone when Better Call Saul is on because the story's well written. It's tight. It's put together.
Yeah.
But how? And the thing is, you're only 8 episodes or 6, and sometimes you should make each one. You know what this reminds me of? The Defenders. The Defenders TV show from Netflix. It was supposed to be just awesome, right? All the Netflix Marvel heroes put together in one action-packed series. And oh my gosh, that thing was like, what, 6 episodes? And it should have just been 2, maybe 1, because they had nothing to do for most of that series. I'm like, how do you have all these big stars? You cannot come up with the storyline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like Luke, another one, Luke Cage. I loved the actor. I thought the character was great. It's too bad the writers didn't care about putting a story with him because he was such a great character. And I thought he was portrayed well, but I just felt bad for him because the writers suck on that series. And why he wasn't teamed up with Iron Fist to begin with is beyond me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
They'd have worked well together.
Hopefully, if he gets brought back, I know they're going to bring back Daredevil, and they're also.
And I'm happy they're bringing back Daredevil, but I want Luke Cage and Iron Fist back too. I love both of them. Maybe
they do a series where the two, because I heard they're gonna do something with Daredevil, and I think it would be really cool if they maybe did an Iron Fist, Luke Cage show, like with the two of them.
I'd love it. Yeah. The two of them together would play off each other well, and I think the show would be way more successful if Netflix would have done that at the very beginning. I'm so confused.
A buddy cop show between the two of them.
It would have been perfect. It would have been perfect, I think.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm going to get into Top Gun Maverick now, and this movie, like I said, won the summer, and I think it's going to win the year, and it could win all time, which I would have never given it that credit. And I thought because of the fact that it was still a light schedule this summer with movies, and I felt like there was Marvel burnout, and I felt like the only possible challenger for Top Gun Maverick was actually going to be Jurassic World Dominion, and it was after the reviews started coming out for Jurassic World Dominion, that I was certain that Top Gun had won the summer at that point. So let me get first of all get your thoughts on how you felt about Top Gun Maverick. Did it exceed your expectations? Did it meet your expectations? What did you think?
Yeah, it exceeded my expectations so much because I didn't want I wanted to see it in 2020. In 2021, I was getting tired. I was like, when is this thing going to come out? In 2022, I'm on record by saying I'll watch it, but probably when it comes out in video, because I'm so tired of waiting for this movie to come out in theaters that I'm probably just going to wait. And I would have, but everyone was telling me how excellent this movie was.
Yeah.
And I kept going, are they just starving for some good cinema? Or is it really, I know, I'm getting to that part. Is it really that good?
Yeah.
Is it really that good? And I told my wife, hey, we need to get a babysitter and watch this. And we did. And I love Tom Cruise anyway. But here's the thing. Did Top Gun, the movie, need a sequel? No, it didn't. It didn't. But I was interested. I was interested to see what they had. And it was fantastic for a couple of reasons. One, we talked about an overuse of CGI, where in this one, I don't. Yes, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. Okay. She gets excited when I talk about Tom Cruise. I don't know if you had this in your theater, but Tom Cruise does he says, thank you for coming to the theater to watch this.
I saw that.
Okay, that was great. He says, by the way, all the jet scenes are real. We didn't use CGI. Those are real. That's us really flying around in jets.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he said that because it put it in people's mind that you don't need a big budget CGI field movie like Thor, like Doctor Strange, like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
You don't need that to have an excellent movie. It basically showed Hollywood that practical effects or real life things can be just as popular, if not more. People want to see new stuff. And guess what? The old is now new. The old is now new now. And this movie was so good that it made you think. I don't know about you, but it made me feel like I missed a movie in between. John Hamm's character he was the class of '88, 2 years later after Tom Cruise's team. And the thing is, okay, well, I wanted to see about his team. I want to know about him.
Yeah.
He felt like a character. Ed Harris. I've known Top Gun, but I knew Ed Harris wasn't in it, but it fooled me. I was like, was he in the first one?
Yeah.
Because he felt familiar. These characters who were not in the original, they feel familiar. That Goose is now Rooster. I almost wanted to roll my eyes at first, but I said, let me give it a chance. And it feels authentic. It feels great.
Yeah.
That they're playing goodness gracious, great balls of fire. I know what they're doing, but at the same time, and Jennifer Connelly, she wasn't in the first one, but she feels like she was a part of this series. I mean, they
did a good job.
It didn't feel like we were watching new characters shoehorned into a story.
Right.
It felt like these characters have always been around, Matt. I felt like, I seriously, when we walked out of the theaters, I told my wife, I said, it feels like we missed part 2. And this is part 3. It just feels like all these characters were established and felt good. Everyone felt comfortable. There's so many to get attached to the group of hotshot pilots. That happened in one scene where he's taking them down, in that practice run, and they're having to do push-ups. That's a funny scene where they all get put in their place by Maverick, and you're happy to see that. And I was like, wow. And just like that, suddenly you've accepted this whole crew of hotshots.
Yeah.
It's really well written. It's well acted out. The pacing is fantastic. There's not a moment where you think, if you're watching this at home, there's not a moment where you go, okay, this is the part where I go get something else to eat or something to drink or popcorn. There's not a moment like that because everything is so good that they hit all the points. That the Val Kilmer scene is great. It's perfect. It's perfect. We only need one Iceman scene, and that was it. They did a fantastic job between the two. Obviously, they had fun. Val Kilmer doesn't really talk till the end, and he doesn't. Obviously, we know why, but but the thing is, though, that he didn't, and they had a powerful scene together. Is great.
Look at this. Speaking of Val Kilmer, look at this great photo of him with his Iceman T-shirt on.
Yeah, and he's a great sport too.
Yeah, he is.
But they said he gave them a lot of audio of himself so they could piece together the words
Yeah.
and have him talk in the film.
Oh, that's great.
It was
Yeah,
wonderful. It was what a wonderful scene.
yeah, and the way it was so genuine that the with the two of them in that scene, it was a really special moment, and
Oh yeah,
it felt completely earned, like a lot of the moments in this film. Um, and Tom Cruise didn't want to make a sequel to this movie. It took a number of years to get him to make a sequel, and it wasn't until they finally found this they figured it out after a number of years, a story that he was comfortable with, that he felt like, okay, it's time to do the sequel. And
right.
to talk about his power in Hollywood, he's they go to pitch this idea to him. He's working on one of his Mission Impossible movies. It's on the set. They pitched the idea to him. He said, "You got it. This is it." He picks up the phone, calls Paramount, and says, "We're making Top Gun 2." And that's all it took.
Wow.
It was him make a phone call to tell him, "We're doing it. It's greenlit. It's greenlit on the spot." How many people are there in Hollywood that have that?
Not many. Not
can do
many.
that.
That's a lot of pull. And that he knew. I mean, that's an amazing thing. That's amazing foresight. But if you have the right script, and I guess he had the script. Did he have the script with him?
They brought him the script. They brought him a version of the script, and he was like, "You finally we got it. We got it."
Wow.
It only took 30 years, 32 years.
Right. But still perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I think a big part of his career though too was he was trying to run away from his 80s heartthrob, the 80s heartthrob bubblegum kind of original Tom Cruise from Risky Business and this first movie of Top Gun and Cocktail. He got to a point where he did Days of Thunder, which basically all those movies are Maverick in different stories. He's playing that very same kind of Tom Cruise kind of character like in Risky Business and Top Gun. So it was about late 90s. You started to see him, or early 90s. I'm sorry. By early 90s, he starts to kind of shift a little bit. And then we see him in his Vietnam War vet movie that he makes.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts to do more serious. He does Rain Man. And you could see he's starting to try to mature a little bit in his roles. And he probably could have easily done a Top Gun sequel anytime during that span of time, but it probably, like fine wine, needed to age a little bit.
It felt like you need to leave it behind and pursue other acting things before returning to a character like that.
Yeah.
And when you have to do it, the timing has to be right and the script has to be right, and both of them were right.
Yeah, they could have put that movie out in the 90s and it would have bombed. It could have bombed. It could have been a terrible like retread of the original. If they or late 80s, they could have put it out in the late 80s. They could have put the sequel out in 89, and it could have been a retread where they just tried to do that movie like they did with Ghostbusters 2. Ghostbusters 2 was kind of a watered down Ghostbusters 1 in a way.
Right.
Yeah. So, how terrible would it have been if they had made Beverly Hills Cop 3, but with Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop 3, terrible disaster of a sequel. That could have been Top Gun 2 if they had made it in the late 80s. They would have tried because it would have been just a quick movie to make some money. Let's just turn this out real quick. She's got another like team and they're flying again, and we bring back Val Kilmer and we just kind of redo it again.
Yeah. Well, you don't, and that's the thing with some of these, far out sequels. It's Tron didn't work because people weren't ready for it.
Right.
People just weren't ready for it. They didn't like it. And when you make a long awaited sequel, you need to make sure it serves a purpose. Cobra Kai has done that. We've talked about Cobra Kai several times. And now Top Gun has also, they have beat this movie, which no one, I don't know. I don't think anyone would have said, everyone would have said, this will be a fun movie. It won't beat the original. The original's a classic. Right. I don't know of a single person my age, I'm saying my age, the people who idolized the first movie. Yes, I'm getting to that.
You're getting to
that. But I don't know of a single person my age who has said the first one was still better. Everyone knows that Maverick is a better movie. Now you ask the young guys, they're always going to say Maverick's better. Yeah, the first one's silly and stuff. Yeah. But my age, they're saying that Maverick is better, and I never would have imagined that.
No, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I thought they could have, but I didn't know that they would, and they did. So I think, and this is interesting. I think if so, let me ask you this question:
Yeah.
Cobra Kai, if Cobra Kai doesn't happen, if it wasn't for Cobra Kai, do you think Cobra Kai is the reason we get Top Gun Maverick? Because Tom Cruise sees what they did with Cobra Kai and how you can pull off a great continuation years, decades later, and it could be enjoyable. And do you think that opened the door open for him a little bit?
I think so. I think that could have been a possibility. Also, a good script.
Yeah.
And can you talk amongst yourself for a minute while I
Yes.
change a diaper? I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah, no, we can absolutely do that.
I apologize. One.
Matt's gonna go take care of a diaper situation, and Matt's doing double duty tonight. He's taking care of the twins, and he's co-piloting with me on this 161st episode. So yeah, so anybody has any commentary that they want to jump in? We had a LinkedIn user that jumped in earlier, and it looks like a police. Is that a policeman? Are we in trouble? There's a police symbol. What did we do? I would like to know. So that we got that. I'm going to plug. This is an opportunity for me to plug Wednesday night. I'm going to be back here with Jazz One, who does not have twins, so he won't be changing diapers during the show. But we're happy to have Matt here tonight. He's a big Disney fan. You can see he's got his little Disney avatar, his little photo there. So Wednesday night we're going to be back here a little earlier with Jazz One for our season finale, season 7 finale. Then we're going to go on a pretty lengthy hiatus from Thunderpop, the Thunderpop show, because I'm going to be focusing on a short form YouTube content, kind of a different flavor of video content that I'm going to be kind of taking some time to work on. Also working on a project with Jazz One. We're going to be doing a video or a trailer. I'll call it a trailer, not so much a pilot, but it's a trailer that we want to produce as a pitch for a possible TV vehicle. And I could call it a bit of a spinoff to Thunderpop. I guess you could call it a bit of a spinoff for Thunderpop. I won't give it away just yet. I don't know if we're ready to discuss that, but it definitely is kind of a vibe to what we do here on the podcast. And I'll just leave it at that and say that much. Also, let me take a quick plug. We'll plug a few things. We have a new YouTube channel in addition to this Thunderpop Live. If you're watching us on YouTube tonight, even if you're not watching us on YouTube tonight, jump over to our new YouTube channel, which has the short form video content. We do shorts on there, and it's a little different. And that's at Thunderpop TV. This is at Thunderpop Live, and then we have Thunderpop TV. So there you go. So a couple things to plug there. Matt's coming back. He's changing a diaper, and he's going to be back in a few short moments.
And here, but off camera, changing a diaper off camera.
Yes.
Here now.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can hear him. He just needed some privacy. So they closed the
Mr. Mom moment.
Yeah, close the virtual blinds there. Mr. Mom, could they reboot Mr. Mom as Mr. Grandma?
Well,
Grandmom? Granddad?
Aren't they doing something with Beetlejuice though? Have I heard
Yes.
wrong?
Yes, Beetlejuice is happening. In fact, I think it's been sure, like for a long time, it was just a rumor or speculation, or maybe could it happen? Maybe it might, maybe it won't. But now I think in fact, Beetlejuice has been confirmed with Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder returning to reprise their roles.
And you know what? I'm interested because it seems like now where you would have these films. Oh, come here, Baba. Where you would have these films where it's just there for nostalgia, and now it seems like if you get a good writer, then you can have. Thank you for that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no
you
problem.
get a good writer, you can have a pretty well done, well put together storyline.
Yeah,
and I think more people are taking more care with how they write a sequel, and they're being smarter about it.
Yeah. Yeah, remember when they used to make the lazy sequels? Like they would turn out a quick lazy. What's a good example? I mentioned Beverly Hills Cop 3, pretty bad sequel, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. examples I can think of, but none of this caliber. It's just like when you do a sequel just to see your people come back, like old reunion shows and stuff like that, it feels like you're missing something. You're missing some of the heart of it. You got to have a point to it. Top Gun Maverick had to be something more than just, it could be Tom Cruise still dealing with his demons after so long, but it needed to be more than that.
Yeah.
More than that. And that's what we're seeing I think with Cobra Kai and with Top Gun, I think we're seeing a little bit more thought and care put into these stories. And they're seeing the benefits of that now.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, if we don't just slap something together with the original crew and just throw it out there and hope it sticks to the wall, we need to make it count. And it's something for the fans, from the fans. It's, there's
the duck goose.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. But the show overall was just really done well, and I was really surprised. I was laughing. I laugh through movies like that because when they're so good that they surprise you, I'm just laughing because I'm happy that movie surprised me like it did. Because even after hearing so many great accolades, I still had the bar set a little not as high.
Yeah. Hey, bro, your stash is in the danger zone. Which, by the way, now with the new Top Gun Maverick, I understand. It's my understanding that stashes have come back in vogue.
Oh man, and that's the thing. That's another thing. Rooster's mustache looked natural.
Yeah,
it didn't look. It's on there because his dad had one, but it looked natural for the character. How they got, and this is the actor's credit. All of them, how they got them to feel like they were always a part of this series. Like, I'm so impressed with Ed Harris. I got to say it again. Ed Harris, John Hamm, Jennifer Connelly. They felt like they had been a part of the series forever. And how many times have we seen new characters? Oh, here's one. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Mutt. Does Mutt in any way feel like Indiana Jones's son?
That's a good point.
No.
That's a good
point. He feels
point.
like Shia LaBeouf shoved in there because he was the hot thing at the time because he was fresh off the Transformer movies. And let's throw some schlock together. There's an example for you. Indiana Jones.
That's a good point. He didn't feel like Indiana Jones. Like he really didn't fit, did he?
No.
Interesting thing. Yeah. And the interesting thing about Jennifer Connelly's character in this movie, it's a character that there's an Easter egg in the original Top Gun where her character is mentioned in the original Top Gun. The scene where I believe it's something comes up where it's mentioned that Maverick had been caught with the superior officer's daughter.
Shut up. Yes.
And that daughter was the Jennifer Connelly. Who ends up being Jennifer Connelly.
Wow.
Yeah. So they did connect her.
I missed that. I did not know that connection.
Yeah.
But like I said, she felt like she had always been in the show. It was incredible.
A couple of notes about a couple of the new cast members. One, Glenn Powell, an easy name to say, but apparently not easy for me to say. Glenn Powell, who played Hangman, a new up and comer, has been in some other things. I have multiple connections to him. So he, by way of other people and other things. So he is from Austin. He grew up in my city, the city that I live in. He was neighbors with Jeff Painter, who's been on Thunderpop. He's been as a friend of Thunderpop's. He's been on here on the show with me many times. His old neighbor was Glenn Powell, and when he was growing up, and his family grew up in his neighborhood where he still lives. In fact, Jeff, who repairs instruments, or used to, as his old business was repairing instruments, used to repair Glenn Hangman's sister's instrument. She was in band, and she's actually a musician herself. So she's also in entertainment business or entertainment industry. So he used to fix her instruments. Glenn also connected to Justin Kirchhoff, who also a friend of the show's. We just did a live stream with him like a month and a half ago. We were over his studio. He's got a studio here in Austin. Was in a theater group with Glenn Powell here in Austin, and Glenn was acting in the same theater group with Justin. And Justin also has doing some pretty big things himself, because he has the only volume LED studio in Austin, maybe in the state of Texas, which is
Wow.
the LED volume is like the technology that's used to replace green screen in a lot of productions, like
Yeah.
Mandalorian. They use it in Star Wars Mandalorian, and it's being used now in a lot of other things, especially Star Wars. Star Wars is using it. Star Trek's using it in the new Strange New World show as
Okay.
well in a lot of their scenes to replace green screen. So anyway, he gave us a tour of his studio. We were over there just a month and a half ago, and he was really nice. But he's been on the show before. He's been in studio. Was in a theater group with Glenn Powell. So a couple of connections with Glenn Powell. He said Glenn's really was starting to take off last couple of years, because he's also on a Netflix project as well. The actress that played Phoenix, and I'm so sorry that I don't know her real name. I don't have that. Those we need that's why we lack from having a show producer. I'm doing it all. I'm hosting. I'm
You have a
hosting it.
cam bot. Show
Yeah,
producers right
I
around
do.
the corner.
I do have a cam bot, so a producer bot is just right around the corner. It is. You know it. You know it. Well, Phoenix is been cast to co-star with Arnold Schwarzenegger. The actress that plays Phoenix has been cast to co-star with Arnold Schwarzenegger in a buddy cop series on Netflix with her and Arnold
Really?
Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And apparently it's a show that's been in development for a long time, because Arnold Schwarzenegger has been developing a show, a streaming project with Netflix for a number of years. Like 5 or 6 years he's been developing this project with Netflix, and it's finally going to be filmed, and Phoenix is going to be co-star. The actress that plays Phoenix in Top Gun Maverick is going to be co-starring with Arnold in this
Oh
new
wow! So
series.
their
Yeah.
careers are jumping off from this, which is great because they deserve it because they did such a
Yeah.
great job. Now I wonder because as you know, hits like this change the shape of Hollywood. Studios pay
Yeah.
attention to what works. They
Mhm.
start trying to copy this formula. Now
Yeah.
this is a good formula to copy. Make a sequel, but make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Don't overdo on CGI. Choose your script. The script is where it's at. You've got to have
Yeah.
the perfect script to go along with it, or it's not going to work. Find these writers. Find who wrote Top Gun. Say what else you got. Like
Yeah.
we said this during one of our Cobra Kai podcasts, but those guys, they should. What I wonder what other ideas they have. What other 80s? We talked about this. What other 80s movies do they have TV show ideas for? Well, now it's not just the medium's not just TV. It's on the big screen as well. And I think with the successes of things like Cobra Kai and more to the fact Top Gun was just shouted from the rooftop, how Hollywood, how moviegoers are looking for something new and different. I hope someone listens and they do the right thing and work on something. And I don't know what yet. I have a few ideas of what I think they could do next, but
Mannequin 3. The department store goes out of business.
Whoa.
They pack everything. Their business,
Whoa.
because online is killing them. Retail is dying. They're closed the department store down. The mannequin gets shoved in a truck and shipped off to a warehouse, an abandoned warehouse. Later, it's an abandoned warehouse, and one of the warehouse workers spawns a romance with the mannequin, and then the shenanigans begin. They're off and running. There's your mannequin sequel.
That's
Also,
great.
I would like
Go
to
ahead.
see him figure out Short Circuit. Get Short Circuit. That would be one, because
That's a great
especially
idea.
with all the AI, we're using a robotic camera on this show right now.
Yep.
Show
Oh,
that.
look out. How's it do it? Follows them around. Whoa. Look. How's the camera do it? How's it do it, Bubba's?
So
My
anyway,
little
robotics.
girl is so impressed right now.
Think about
She's
she's the only one.
Now look at her.
She is the only one, by the way. But anyway, Short Circuit maybe crossing over with the War of the Machines, like with automation and
Well, how about this one? Just think about this on the fly. Rocketeer.
yeah.
Rocketeer now.
Yeah.
Now we've shifted, bring back those actors, shift the story to 20 years, however long it's been, 30 years in the future.
Yeah.
And have them do the Rocketeer again. Now they're, it may still be the Russians, maybe someone else. It's in the 80s now. I don't know how long it's been, but they come back with more inventions and they're trying to perfect that old jetpack again. I think that would be fun. I know someone could write it well and make a what I think is already a really good movie.
Take my money. Take my money. I'll give you the money on that one.
But
Okay,
I hope they're learning from this too.
Yeah. Well, it also, I mean, and the figuring out that people don't want you to use the sequel to ignore the legacy. This paid respect to the legacy. It gave I mean, we wanted to see come back. What do we want to see when we come back and see Top Gun? We wanted to see Maverick, right?
Right.
You wanted to see Maverick.
Yeah.
You wanted to see you wanted them to do some things that they didn't do with the first one. I mean, a great sequel. You want a great sequel to give you what you wanted to see from what you missed, the nostalgia, the reconnecting with the old great feels that you have for Maverick, but then even to figure out a way to raise the stakes and give you something that you wish you had gotten with the first movie. Like we didn't feel like we got enough action with the first movie. We didn't feel like the fighter jet scene at the end was substantial enough, right? They gave us a better version of this first movie, the first movie.
Oh, definitely. And that's the thing. I didn't think. I mean, you look at Top Gun. Besides it being an '80s movie, I mean, yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but that's 80s tropes all the way through it, and I love it for that. I love the original movie for that.
Yeah.
And but when you make a sequel to it, you got to be careful. You got to be careful what you're going to do with it, and they did it well. Yeah. And of course, I think you need the strong actors. I would love. Here's another one: Fright Night.
Ooh,
they did 1 and 2, and the rights reverted back to that director now.
Mm-hmm.
So that director has the rights again. So he wants to do a Fright Night 3, I think. And if the cast is still open for it, I'd be interested to see what's going on.
I would again take my money on that one. I would love to see that. On our agree or disagree tonight, I've got questions mostly related to 80s revivals and the potential of 80s revival or the disappointment of not getting, or for whatever reason, not getting maybe something that we were hoping for. Okay. Number 1 on agree or disagree for you tonight on 161. Thank you again, Matt Wilkins. Brought in a little help tonight for his co-piloting duties on the show. All right. Number 1, an agree or disagree. Okay, number 1 for you. I want to ask you this. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one we didn't mention. Another great big 80s movie. A classic. There's been talk for years, and people have asked whenever one of the actors from that movie has popped up anywhere, they always ask him, is there any chance of any Ferris Bueller sequels? Mm-hmm. And for a long time, there were whispers of a possibility of a Ferris Bueller playing hooky from work, day off type of movie as a middle-aged man. And this has never come into fruition. And now there's been talk. Seriously, I've heard the actors mention this idea of the possibility of a Ferris Bueller coming up. They're going to have to wait. They said we're going to have to wait a little while till we're old enough. But a Ferris Bueller retirement home, Escape from the Retirement Home movie. Do you think
Hughes?
What's that?
John Hughes joked about that.
Yes,
with them a long time ago and said we'll have to wait till y'all get older. But it's about, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's Ferris takes a day off work to go get Cameron, who has checked himself early into a retirement home.
That's what it was. Yes, I got the two crossed over, didn't I?
And so he breaks him out of a retirement home, and they have a wonderful, crazy day together. And at the end, Cameron dies. I mean, like passes away, or whatever.
Well, do you agree or disagree that would be just too depressing to be a success? Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think it would be wonderful, lovely that they have a good time together. That he dies is something I think they were just joking around with.
Okay.
But so either way, I would be happy to see that because Cameron's a worrywart. He's in his 50s. He's nearing retirement. I mean, he just retired, or he's getting close to retiring from his job, but he goes ahead and checks into a retirement home early. That is classic Cameron.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Ferris is doing his 9 to 5 with Stallone, and he's kind of going, I need to just break away from the mom and dad thing. I need to get away with stuff. And his kids, his wife, and maybe they catch him, and it's a story about growing up, taking responsibility from Ferris. Maybe he can do these crazy things. Just go with his family, and then that way, it's because you could have it on a happy ending. Ferris Cameron dies, but Cameron teaches him that lesson. Why were you wasting the day with me when you have such a lovely family, and I never had that? And so Ferris understands that his past, that he's been trying to relive. He can relive that through his children and give them the great memories that he had as a kid.
Do you think it's too late to make that movie, or do you think there's still a window that they can still do that?
I think the timing is perfect right now to make it now.
Yeah.
Because it's been 40 years. Yeah. They've all aged, and they're all at that right moment. Yeah. I would love to see that movie. I will give you another one. I'll see your Ferris Bueller, and I'll raise you a never-ending story.
Yeah.
Sebastian is older now, runs an old bookstore. People don't read books anymore. They listen to the audio book. And it's about, having a good old book. And it happens to be Sebastian as the old man now, giving the book to a new kid who has a new adventure through the book. And I think, and you with better special effects, Balfour, all of them could come back. A new kid playing Atreyu, you could have a new adventure. And just really, it would really take off and resonate, I think, with audiences.
Yeah, that would be cool. Do you think some of these movies, maybe that were kind of iffy, like maybe probably might not have happened, even though they've been maybe talked about? Do you think they're going to happen now because of Top Gun Maverick?
I hope a lot of them that have been in what Hollywood calls production hell, get now greenlit and on the fast track to get made, because
you would think
makes sense.
Yeah, because it's monkey see, monkey do in Hollywood.
Like
it's a copycat.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is, definitely. And I know Chevy Chase is kind of a jackass to work with from what I've heard, but they really need to do Christmas Vacation with him as the grandpa, having everyone over.
I know.
And having another, and you could write it where it'd be funny. Beverly, whatever, is still around. She still looks great at 60 or whatever. And she'd be up for it. One of the children, Anthony Michael Hall. Would be great to return back as the son Russ, finally. Someone who's playing Russ. Yeah. And you could really make a really good, in a way, reunion movie, having them all back. Now, unfortunately, Dennis Quaid has gone off on the crazy wagon, and so it wouldn't be the same without Cousin Eddie, and that's just so sad. Because I feel like you would need some Cousin Eddie, but he's just too wacky right now to be taught to. But still, I think you could have a very enjoyable film that would sing for the holidays. So there are other what would you say, movies out there that were so good that people thought, well, there's no purpose touching them. And yes, a lot of them should never be touched. But if you put a good sequel in there, you know what a great example of this is? Every direct-to-DVD Disney movie sequel that came out for their original cartoon.
Right.
The only exception would be the Aladdin movies. I thought Return of Jafar and King of Thieves were pretty decent.
Well, some of the Pixar stuff, like Toy Story, turned out some decent sequels.
Toy Story 1 and 2 did.
Yeah.
I won't say the same for 4. I thought it was, and I love Toy Story. That's my favorite Pixar series, but I thought 4 was garbage. Did you see Toys That Time Forgot, the TV or the DVD movie?
Oh, I know.
You need to see that. That's incredible. And it should have been their 4th movie.
Okay.
It's an incredible movie. And I was like, wow. And I remember when I watched it, I told my wife, I went, they should have put this in theaters and made it a
straight
movie.
to DVD? Straight to DVD?
It was like that, the Toys of Terror DVD that came out. Yeah. And they came with another one, Toys That Time Forgot.
Wow.
And it's just, it's incredible.
Wow.
But the thing is, though, there's ideas out there. Now we need to develop those ideas, do things with a purpose, work well with people, get everyone involved to make a good, decent film. Now, what we may see, and what it's inevitable, we're going to see long awaited sequel that no one ever asked for. Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah, we'll get a couple of like, oh gosh, they're really digging deep for this here.
Yeah, we're going to get those too. We're going to take the good with the bad. But as long as there's some good hits in there, like the one you mentioned, the one we've mentioned here today, then I think they can make. I mean, like I remember, what is that writer's name? He wrote for Star Wars, Gary Whitta. Gary Whitta wrote supposedly a sequel to The Last Starfighter.
Oh, I've been hearing about this for years.
And he's been pitching it for years.
Development
Does this get approved now? Last Starfighter is another excellent idea.
Well, if nothing else, for a straight to streaming.
And that's the thing. You would think with the success of Cobra Kai and a billion streaming services who are desperate to find content that has viewers, if you can grab an existing IP and get some viewers to start it off with and make it decent, then you have a hit show. Why aren't people knocking down the doors for ideas that they're doing this to Chucky, right? Chucky, which is surviving through the original. They're bringing back the original actors from the movies, Jennifer Tilly and all them.
Yeah.
The voice is back as Chucky. And that TV show is straight up garbage.
Yeah, it's getting another season too.
But it's horrible. They are doing, I can't. Did you watch it?
I've heard it was bad, but I have not seen it.
It's horrible.
I'm a fan of the original.
It fits in canon with all the, even the DVD movies that came out that no one watched really.
But it didn't. It doesn't work.
But they have all the characters there, and the story is garbage. The new kids are all idiots. Like I told you, most of the kids are idiots or annoying and don't make sense. And that's what happens in Chucky. And I was like, man, it's so sad that they screwed this up. And my wife watched one episode and went, done. She knew immediately it was going to be garbage, but I was like, no, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to give it a whole season. It's like I keep giving Picard another season, and I shouldn't.
I actually enjoyed season 1 of Picard, but I tell you, the best Star Trek that in years is Strange New Worlds.
You like Strange New Worlds?
I like Strange New Worlds. Did you watch Strange New Worlds?
No, I didn't, because Discovery, I couldn't take a punch to the face.
worlds apart. I mean, it's just
okay.
I mean, it's on another level.
That's the Captain Pike series, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe I'll give it a try, but Picard has been like, it's aggravating because it's a series of missed opportunities.
Yeah.
It just, I'm mad because they're squandering away Patrick Stewart's dying days.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's getting up there in the years.
You're wasting your Patrick Stewart footage, folks.
Oh my gosh.
It could be, how much better would this show be if it was just him at the winery sitting around with one guest star at a time who come by the chateau to express a problem, and Jean-Luc Picard solves it right there in the winery. Maybe he and Geordi go and talk while they're picking grapes, and that's when Geordi has Picard helps him get over the death of Commander Data. That's maybe something like that, or maybe a Romulan who wanted to kill him finally reveals himself. He's going to go kill Jean-Luc, but because Jean-Luc is so kind to him, and Jean-Luc's like, I will die for you if that's what will help you out, shows him love in return, then maybe the Romulan puts down the knife and walks away. You can do powerful stories with no action, set it inside of a vineyard, and it would be great. And then, but see, when you're 80-something years old, you don't do action movies. You don't do action shows.
Well, that's what's funny. That was going to be my question for you on the next agree or disagree, because this might have answered the question already about 80-year-old in action movies. Because did you know this? Are you a fan of the John? I think we talked about this. I think you like the John Wick movies, right?
I love
the
John Wick movies.
Yeah, you're a fan. And we're going to get another one. Another one is already finished and it's supposed to be coming out very soon. Yeah, very soon. But not soon enough, but it is coming out next year. So I read this. Originally, they wanted John Wick to be played by an older action star, and they were considering Clint Eastwood or Harrison Ford as a kind of more of an over the hill action character or action star
Gotcha.
character. Okay, so they ended up not doing that, of course, and they went with Keanu Reeves, which
Smart.
was the wisest, smart decision, because now the rest is history. It's been a huge hit, and there's been now multiple John Wick movies. So here's my question for you: Do you agree? Do you agree or disagree? They should, in the next sequel for John Wick, bring in Clint Eastwood to play an over the hill, kind of in his last days, hitman.
This is a hard call. Have you seen the movie Nobody?
No.
Same writer as John Wick.
Oh, I know Nobody. I know Nobody.
Same-
I know of that movie. Yeah.
Great movie, worth it.
Yeah,
If
heard great
John
things
Wick is
about
the Avengers, Nobody is the Captain America movie. You know, it's good, but not as good as John Wick.
Yeah.
But Nobody's fantastic, and you know they have an almost 90-year-old Christopher Lloyd
Yes.
doing some action.
Yeah.
Now it can be done. It can be done, and you can bring back these aging stars. And
Mhm.
bravo to them, 80 years old, and they're doing
Yeah.
a shoot. That's great. That's great. But are they going to use Indiana Jones wisely? I don't think so.
Mhm.
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think they're going to try to pretend he's an action star who can run around and do all this when he really can't.
Yeah.
And another aging action star is Michael Gross from the Tremor series.
Mhm.
He finally wrapped up his last movie was, I
Mhm.
think it came out last year, it was Shrieker Island.
Yeah.
And I think he was 78 or 79 when it was filmed. And you could tell he can't move as fast. You can film these action stars, and the reason I say Nobody, they filmed Christopher Lloyd just right,
Yeah.
where you believed he was
They
an old
used-
man,
they
but
used him well.
he still had some pepper here and
Okay.
there. And that slick editing is
Mhm.
all it is. But it was good enough to convince me, like, oh, he can move along pretty good. No, he can't. I've seen him. He shuffles. He
Yeah.
can't. And I love. I'm not making fun of him. I'm not thinking he's all
Yeah.
like. I hope to live that long. But the thing is,
Yeah.
though, you can edit it just right. I don't mind Clint Eastwood. Bring him back. But these aging stars, use them wisely. Jean-Luc Picard should be sitting down, sipping wine, and working around the vineyard, not
Right.
running around shooting lasers, because he looks pathetic when he does it.
It's there were moments there, yeah, where I was like, oh gosh.
Use him. Yes, like don't fall, Jean-Luc.
Oh my gosh, I was a little worried. Well, they're going to do one more season of Picard, but they were supposed to be wrapping it up after the third season, next seasons. Okay,
Good.
so you say yes if they could do it right with Clint Eastwood in a John Wick
Yes,
movie,
absolutely.
giving him a last kind of hurrah as the action star.
Absolutely.
Another, let's go straight into thoughts and advice. Okay, here it is. Here's some for thoughts and advice on this 161st episode. I'm going to give you some, biopics have been a huge thing also in movies. And it's another way to give you some familiarity and nostalgia, which Hollywood loves because they can trust it. They trust nostalgia and they trust familiarity. So biopics have been a huge thing, especially on the streaming services, because we had a Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson biopic that came out several months ago on Hulu. There was a Motley Crue biopic on Netflix a few years back.
Right.
Did really well. And there was the Queen biopic that hit theatrical release a few years ago, did quite well, won some awards. Now here's my question, or here's my pitch for these are movies I'm sure are going to get some biopics. I don't know when, but they definitely should. Tell me if you agree with this list. If there's anybody you would throw off this list as what you think would be an interesting biopic. Hulk Hogan, wrestling icon Hulk Hogan, deserves a biopic or doesn't deserve a biopic?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
About his life story.
I mean, yes, but I think the Dark Side of Wrestling should address it. The show Dark Side of Wrestling.
Okay, so it probably is going to get covered there. Do you think Andre the Giant would be a better biopic than Hulk Hogan?
They've done documentaries about him, but a biopic would be nice too.
But it would be impossible. How would you cast Andre the Giant? It would be near impossible to find somebody that could play him.
But you get Paul White.
Oh, interesting.
The current Giant who's retired, not doing much, but who could still act it.
Okay, I like it. Good. You cast that like in seconds. If you were in that
Yeah.
room with the
I
studio
thought
pitching,
about Andre the Giant.
you had thought about that.
Hulk Hogan's still around. Not
Yeah.
that that's something you have to have, but
Right.
it's not going to, a biopic's not always going to be flattering of the person they're depicting.
No.
They had their
It's not.
flaws, and I don't think the Hulkster can take any criticism at all.
No, he's got. I mean, it's his ego, and you know,
He's got a huge ego.
he's got a huge
Where
ego.
Andre the Giant is passed on, you can do something tasteful and
Right.
still have his flaws in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the way I would do the Hulk Hogan is I would do it a lot like Private Parts with Howard Stern and make it also kind of funny. Kind of a
Oh yeah,
a little comedic.
no, that's
There's
a great idea.
There's a lot of funny things in Hulk Hogan's life too. Okay,
There is.
Ozzy Osbourne, biopic or not a biopic?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. He won't mind. He'll agree with all the stuff that's in there.
He's old enough, and he's always been kind of very transparent about his life, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has no secret. He's fine with that.
Okay, wearing this shirt tonight, appropriate that I would ask this question. Guns N' Roses, biopic or not a biopic?
Absolutely, because I'm such a huge Guns N' Roses fan. I got to hear about Axl Rose and Slash, their relationship, and the rest of the band. It would have to revolve around those two because of their,
That's where the drama of the
that's
band.
where the drama was, but that's where also the talent was.
That's where all that you don't have Guns N' Roses without this too.
Slash couldn't survive without him. Axl Rose floundered without Slash. They hate each other, but they need each other.
They finally realized that when they got back together, finally, after they realized that we couldn't be what we were without being together. Now, here's the thing on Guns N' Roses. I was just having this conversation with someone today because they were talking about how they had, started to get interested in Guns N' Roses, hearing their music. And they had said that they found out how they had been, Slash and Axl had broke up for a number of years. And I said, you know what? Because they asked me, said, well, what was Axl doing over that period of time that they were not together? And I said, he was still doing Guns N' Roses. He just wasn't doing it at a very high level without Slash. In fact, he performs live on television on MTV. He makes this out of the blue appearance on the MTV Music Awards with a guy called Buckethead that was his guitarist in place of Slash. And it was a guy that wore a bucket on his head. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
And didn't he borrow another band who played for Guns N' Roses? Wasn't there like an entire band he got to be Guns N' Roses?
Probably, yeah, because there were so many people coming in and out of the band.
I don't remember. I remember that it was some other semi-famous band that he enlisted to play this music for him as he sang under the flag of Guns N' Roses, but wasn't the original Guns N' Roses.
Except for him, just him. Yeah, just him only.
Which sounds like a cover band.
Yeah. Well, me and my wife went to see, she was a big a Skid Row fan. Loves Sebastian Bach. We went to a show. I got tickets one time for Skid Row, an outdoor concert, and she was really excited for going to see Skid Row. We got there and we were kind of farther the back, and we were like, they sound great. Oh man, they sound amazing. And later in the show, he stops to talk a little bit, and this guy has a Texas accent. It's like, wait, Sebastian Bach is from New Jersey. And this guy looks just like Sebastian Bach from far back with the long blonde hair.
Yeah.
Tall, thin. Turns out this guy was like named Dave, and he was from Dallas, and he was the current at the time lead singer of Skid Row, that had a look-alike in place of Sebastian Bach, a sound-alike.
Whoa.
It becomes kind of almost a cover band at that point, doesn't it?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. That's smart, though. Fooled you.
They fooled us. We got pretty far into the show. It must have been in the fine print when I bought the tickets. They said, this is not Sebastian Bach. This is Dave from Texas that's going to be singing the lead vocal. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
We watched one of the last concerts of Jerry Lee Lewis a few years, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he got sick after that, and then in 2020, before he started his tour again, the pandemic happened. He's been shut in ever since. But he came through close around here, Jackson, Mississippi. We went to go see him. It was fantastic. But he also had like a younger version of him open up for him. And he learned how to play the piano by watching Jerry Lee Lewis. And he's got the singing, he's got the motion, he's got the keyboard playing, and he has the pizzazz. He's not Jerry Lee. There is only one Jerry Lee, but he did pretty good. And it's funny how some of these, because my wife just couldn't get over how much, and of course he did his hair to look like Jerry Lee, but how he could imitate him on stage was very impressive.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. I got one more for you. The early days of MTV, a biopic about that. Would that be interesting?
Absolutely. I'd love to see, and I'd love to see, 90s MTV. You know what? How about Pauly Shore while we're at it?
Getting him involved in that biopic. Maybe it ends with that era of MTV, because that was kind of like that was another great era of MTV.
That was maybe their height, would you say?
Yeah.
The 90s, it was just, it was rising in the 80s too, but in the 90s, it just took off and soared. It was the thing. That was the defining. If you watched MTV, you were cool. If you had an MTV t-shirt, I wanted to stand next to you so I would look cool too. Oh yeah.
Well, you had you had a lot of great content on MTV.
Well, you look at Pauly Shore, but Daisy Fuentes, oh God.
Downtown Julie Brown.
Downtown Julie Brown. Doggone it. What is her name? Was it Jenny McCarthy?
Jenny McCarthy,
she was an MTV girl back then.
Yeah.
And so they had so many just names, guys and girls that you just knew by heart. You'd watch their shows. Music videos were a big deal back in the 90s. Remember the countdowns to witness Michael Jackson's newest music video, or Metallica or Madonna, or insert big name here. It was a countdown clock on the station to when they were going to play their new music video, and you were ready for it.
Oh yeah. The way you're talking right now, you've got me wanting my MTV. I want my MTV now.
It never got, and video killed the radio star, but MTV just shot out of a cannon at that point in the 90s, and they were making a reality show before there was even reality shows. It's just amazing the stuff that they did and how much that channel meant to so many people. And like I said, MTV is still around, but has never been what they were.
Yeah, they birthed reality TV really with Real World.
Real World was the first thing, and we watched it, as did everyone else. We didn't know what we were watching, but we loved it. The Puck, everyone knew that man. He was a household name. And
on Paramount Plus, they've started doing reunion seasons with the original cast. Like they did they did the first season, the first New York cast. That was the first season of the new Real World reunion show on Paramount Plus, and then they moved on to like another cast of the past.
That's smart. That's smart. I'd love to see what they were doing. Survivor's done that before too.
Yeah.
Characters that were in it years ago come back and everything. People are excited to see them back. But yeah, no, biopic of MTV, totally for.
Love it. Okay, so all of them we got greenlit by our TV executive Matt Wilkins over here, Master Jedi Matt Wilkins. Just greenlit all my pitches for a biopic. We'll start on those. They're done. We got the money. We got to do them. Yes. Are you ready for them? We're gonna do them. All right, everyone. We're about to wrap it up. I'm sure you're tired. I'm going to go get some downtime. You hopefully can get some quiet time as well before it's time to crash. I know what it's like having those new babies at the house, and the need to have a little bit of downtime at the end of the night if possible.
I'm telling you.
I definitely can respect that.
It's been a long night. Thanks for suffering through it for me.
Oh no, it was no problem at all. No problem at all, and glad to do it. Feeling a little nostalgic myself from those baby days that wasn't that long ago, but it's remarkable how fast it goes from baby to kindergarten. It's pretty. I'm going to cry thinking about it.
If you miss it, I can ship a few over to you for a few days.
Yes, okay.
Free trial.
We may still have some of the stuff that we need, like some of the baby supplies. We may still have some of that. Oh man. Well, Matt Wilkins, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Thanks
And
for
be
having me, man.
safe.
Always a fun time.
Always a fun time. Be safe, be well. Everyone out there, have a great hour, day, millisecond, and good night. Time to close it out. Let's find this outro. It's right here. Good night.
Thunderpop is a Hit the Bricks production.